Here.
Mr. Genoviac,
Here.
Chief Flores,
Here.
Chief Willman,
Here.
Town Manager Craig Phillips is absent this evening. Michael Schilling, the council liaison, absent this evening. Adam Decker, town attorney for the safety board.
Here.
I need a motion for the approval of minutes from August 17th, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I have a motion by Mr. Paradisio, second. By Mr. Moran, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? Motion passed. Monthly reports, Chief Willman.
During the month of August 2020, the St. John Fire Department responded to a total of 135 requests for assistance. There were 109 in District 1, which is within the incorporated limits of St. John. There were 20 in District 2, which is within the unincorporated limits of St. John, under contract with the Township Trustee. There were 6 calls in District 3, which is all other destinations, including mutual aid. Mutual aid this month were to Cherville, Lake Hills, Crown Point, and Cedar Lake. The Monday night activities for the fire department during August included: the 3rd of August was the business meeting of the volunteer division. The 10th of August was a hands-on training and review in the safe and proper procedures to follow when using portable fans, saws, and related fireground equipment. August 17 was reviewing safely climbing, throwing, and raising ladders. This session was held on the burn building in the tower at the training site. August 24th, motor vehicle extrication at Stan's Auto Yard. The staff of Stan's set up vehicles on their property ahead of time for our firefighters to train with when we arrived. Finally, August 31st, the entire session was spent with the rescue truck, which included a review of all the various hand tools, cascade system for refilling air packs, the winch, the light tower, and all the rest. Now for the EMS. During the month of August, we had contact with 100 patients. There were 68 transports, 20 refusals, and 11 lift assists. Transport types, we had ALS, we had 54 or 80%, we only had 1 ALS 2, and we had 13 basic life supports. Residents versus non-residents was 35 of one residents and 33 of the other. That's the closest I've ever seen. Transport to hospitals was identical to both Crown Point and Franciscan and Dyer, with 29 each, and then a very few to Munster Community and Franciscan Health and Munster. Our division of calls from 7 in the morning till 11:59 or midnight was 90% of the calls, and then from midnight till 7 in the next morning was 10% of the calls. And that's it.
Thank you. Chief Flores?
From August 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2020, the members of the St. John Police Department logged 25,464 miles and responded to 693 law incidents. The investigation of these incidents led to 29 arrests with 47 charges being filed. There were 264 traffic citations issued, along with 348 written warnings, for a total of 612 citations being issued during the month. Vehicle thefts totaled 50,000, other thefts totaled 8,088, and recovered property totaled 50,064.
New business, Chief Willman.
Okay, on the agenda, I am seeing that we say new hire process update. As you know, we have spoken in the past about going through a new process for hiring, and we are putting that into place now. We extended the list to last until the end of the year. We made contact with those that were still remaining on the list. There are 5 names that are still on there, but it's not very encouraging. There were 3 of them that are not qualified as yet. There is one that is not interested at all. He said that he was going to send a letter back. He is at a full-time fire department in Plymouth, Indiana, I believe it is. And then we had another one that we were not really getting a good recommendation from our medical director. So of the 5 that are left, right now, I think we are in need to continue and proceed with this. I did speak one time about the possibility of losing a couple. I've had one of our full-timers be accepted for employment at another fire department. He told me right away when it was up, but I don't have a specific date yet on that, but I know it's coming. I'm sure it's coming before the end of the year. So with that in mind, it is critical that we continue to move. We're gonna still contact them at the very end, but this was the information that we got. So we intended to start with tonight's meeting with the temporary approval to go with that. Now it's September 21st, and we would have the applications out and end that on October 16th. Applications will be online at the fire station, or I should say online and also at the fire station. We set dates for written tests to be Friday and Saturday, October 23rd and 24th. We have chief/administrative interviews November 6th, and then line officer interviews November 13th and November 14th. And I'm hoping to get some participation from the board if they're interested in it. I always did them, but right now with things changing as they do, I think it's really important for them to be brought up and talk with the board. I don't think it's as important for me to interview them as it is you guys now. So anyway, that'll be up to you, but we really do encourage you trying to be available to do these interviews, if possible anyway. Okay, our advertising notifications will be on the Town of St. John Facebook, Local Firefighter Union Facebook, State Firefighter Union, the MAP, which is the multi-agency facility in Valpo, Lake County Fire Chiefs Association, Porter County Fire Chiefs Association, Franciscan Health Crown Point, South Lake Medical Providers, that's Methodist, and St. Mary's Community Hospital in Hobart is where we intend to advertise for this. There's also that, what is the national?
So there's the National Testing Network, which is where they would sign up for the CPAT, where I gave that recommendation, or
That was another one we were gonna look into. It does have a kind of hefty fee to get into it, but it also leads them into the CPAT physical agility setup, which is what we're gonna have as a requirement. So that's still on hold there.
Chief, do we advertise in the newspapers at all? I mean, what you're advertising is extensive, but a lot of the people who see those ads already have some contact or knowledge of it, where a lot of people don't, you know, they.
We have in the past, but it's rather expensive. I mean, I don't know if it's rather expensive or not, but there's a cost associated with it, where these other ones, there's not, so.
Well, I understand, but there's a lot of people that might be interested who can't be reached because they don't have access or knowledge of some of these places.
Well, that's fine, then we'll do that too, that's fine. I have no problem with that at all. So we could do the Gary Post and Hammond Times, I guess. Okay, then for the application and interview process, we've established a numerical rating qualification on a point system. There'll be points for experience, points for a written exam, points for administrative interviews and points for senior fire officer interviews are the ones that I explained before. And there'll be a total of 100. We worked through some, and I think that's a really good working way to go. So that's where we are. That's the schedule. Like I say, I think we are in need of not holding up any longer and getting going on it right now. The other list we said was gonna go at the end of the year, but this will still take us till the middle of November. And then we still have some deliberations to do after that.
You said you needed approval for something from us?
I would say support, not necessarily
Yeah, oh,
official,
certainly. We can
not
have-
necessarily official approval, but support from you.
Just a couple quick questions, Chief. As far as the criteria for testing, I know one of the issues that came up before was you didn't have any paramedics left on your list. Have you established what the minimum criteria for taking your test is?
Firefighter, paramedic.
Okay, and that's listed on the application, so firefighter, paramedic with passing CPAT.
Yes.
Okay. Written test, are you using the same company, Stenard, as the police do?
I don't think it's the same one that the police does, is it?
Or which company, which testing company are you using?
It's the NFST test, and I think we got it through iOS Solutions in Oak Brook.
Okay. So you're,
That's the one I brought along for a sample. The iOS one in Northbrook is the one that we used the last time. And we were very happy with it, and it was been recommended to us by a couple other departments in the area. So, it's not the same one. We used to use one that was, it was okay, it was from California, but it was rather cumbersome as far as communicating back and forth, and there were time lapses from the time you would take it to get it back and all that. And I was very pleased with this. I think the other guys were too. So I have information on that here that I can provide to you too, if you want to see it. But that's the one that we decided to go with this time.
Are you gonna have a panel interview with some of your existing firefighters?
Yeah, I said that maybe I rolled past that a little bit too fast. We're gonna have an administrative one, which would be like the commission here and me, and then we're also gonna have senior officers. We'll have, the last time, it's not necessarily always battalion chiefs. I think we had 2 battalion chiefs and 1 of the captains, but sometimes it's difficult to line them up on the days when they're 24, 48s and all that kind of stuff. But we're gonna have senior officer ones. I'm a big proponent of that.
And do you want the safety board to ask questions in these interviews? Or is your panel gonna be asking questions? The reason I say is because the police department they're gonna have interviews shortly. We've asked to sit in. What do you expect of us in your interviews?
Myself, personally, I'd like you to participate if you would. I think that, you're here and you're providing us a lot of knowledge and experience, and we know St. John pretty well, but I mean, this is an opportunity to possibly hear questions or concerns or whatever that are not in St. John yet, but might be sometime. So that would be my request, but I don't want to burden you. If you're not comfortable with that, if you want to just sit in on them or something, that's fine, or if you don't want to,
Just
you
for
want.
scheduling purposes.
That's what I thought,
What days they would be.
Well, that's another thing that's kind of difficult, as far as, because to try to schedule certain people and then our guys and then you guys.
Yeah, I was
To
gonna
me,
say.
it's worth it. I think it can be done. It's just, I'm not really familiar with, your working schedules and all that kind of stuff, and how much you want to go, but I will work extremely hard to make sure that that's part of it. But I would be very pleased if you would participate in it, really.
okay, and I think with enough warning, we can participate. Based on the where the safety board's role in this, and council can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that where we're at in integrating a new hiring system under the oversight of the safety board is that we would have to look at the entire safety, or the entire hiring process, and then the board would make a motion to approve this hiring process and/or any adjustments that were gonna be made. And then once that motion passed, then that would be considered the hiring process. That's just the way I
Yeah, that's
understand
fine.
it.
I think I have enough information that I can get that
So,
all to
so
you. I tried to,
I don't think that we can actually approve this tonight. I think we would have to get all of us have a copy of the testing process, the criteria, the application, the whole new process that's being established. Look at it, make any adjustments that we have to have, and then at the earliest would be the next meeting to formally make a motion to pass to approve that as the St. John Fire Department hiring process.
and then we'll just have to adjust dates accordingly. That's all. That idea brought up were based on being able to do it. I had hoped to be further along. I also, once we extended the list, I didn't realize that we were not gonna have much to pick from that. I knew we had 5, and I was glad when only one guy chose to go to another department, but still, that can be done without a problem.
Okay.
We have documentation on everything, and I can get it together without a problem.
Do we have an idea, or do we have to determine how long we want this list posted for, put some definite, unlike the other ones that were just let go?
I know we had talked about it, that
Right.
probably, that's part of
Well,
the
yeah, I had-
process of
I had a
approving it.
list of, I don't.
Would be 2 years.
I think so.
I had a list here of questions that were brought to our attention, the last time that nobody ever had before. And the very first thing on the eligibility list of questions says, last process did not state how long the list would be active, and then about publishing it and all that kind of stuff. So that was a major concern. That was the first thing on here, and I would say that would be something that you would make a recommendation on too.
I mean, I think we can still meet your timeline, chief, based on the dates that you're looking at, because we meet prior to,
Well, yeah,
That
I think you're
testing?
right, because we have a month here now that they're just gonna be gathering.
and I think you can still advertise and continue on moving forward, and I think we can meet that timeline with very little, even if we got the packets and the procedures, we could make adjustments and go back and forth, and then actually make a final recommendation at the meeting prior to what would be the test.
That would-
I don't think the written test is gonna change, and that's your first couple dates.
Right.
So I think we can still meet your timeline without making too many adjustments. I just wanna kind of formalize the process under the safety board.
Right. Anything else?
No, not for me.
Then we have the presentation, Chief, by Kevin Leduc.
All right, good evening, gentlemen, brothers, Chief Flores, Chief Woolman. I was able to present some information to Amy, who sent some information to you guys, so hopefully you were able to look at some of those packets, and some of that information. But what I'm here to ask for today is a favorable recommendation from you guys to the town council just in raising the fire department pension base from $58,647.68 to match our brothers and sisters on the police department. And I believe right now theirs is $76,003.20. So some of the things that I did send to you guys, we did a comparison of fire departments that have police departments as well in Lake and Porter County. And just looking at our rate compared to the other departments, first of all, the average for a fire department, or the numerical average for a pension base is $67,811.97. Fire department average is just a little bit lower at $65,540.44. And the police department average is just a little bit above that, and it's $70,083.49. So, again, I'm just looking to see if we could consider raising our pension base, which is a difference of $17,000, 355 and 52 cents. Figuring the pension base out and how much it would cost the town takes a little bit of math, and I just would like to go through that with you guys and maybe give you a little bit background of how ours became a little bit different. So we started the full-time fire department here in St. John. I think we ran the first ambulance call February 28th, 2002, I think is when we were,
March 8th.
March?
March 8th we started, March 9th we ran the first.
So in March of 2002 is when we became a full-time fire department. At that time, way before me, we were in the civil pension. The civil pension is handled a little differently, but the police and fire pension, one big push is the reason we wanted that is for our benefits of death and if we were injured on the job. So one of the big things that are concerning to our members now is if we were hurt, we would get our benefit off of the lower number. Or if for the unfortunate fact something happened to one of us and we pass away, our families would get part of that $58,000. That's one big driving fact. The other fact is when we came into the police and fire pension in 2019, our wage, what they call first-class firefighter or first-class police officer's wage or pension base was set lower than our actual wage that we make. It's very difficult for us to calculate the actual wage that we make because we have built-in overtime, but it's roughly $68,000 a year. So asking for the $68,000 is still lower than the $72,000 that the police officers make. But again, there's some wiggle room there because there's overtime, sick time, time that we take off in our vacation time. Depending when we take time, it really does affect our overtime and our take-home pay. I also included the state 1977 fund certified salaries. And that's for you guys, and it will help the police officers as well in the police department. It tells you everyone in the state of Indiana what the average pension base is. And that's really what I was looking for. I don't want to. I mean, I'm here to answer questions if you guys have them. But really, the difference per the town would be $27,000, $334.94 additionally per year for them to put us up to our police officer brothers and sisters. For an average, or not for an average, for an actual cost per member, it's $3,037.27. So to me, in the grand scheme of things, again, not my money, easy for me to say, I believe, but in the grand scheme of things, for something that we could get for our retirement and for our families, if one of us get hurt or heaven forbid killed, it's a huge benefit.
Is your pension figures based on your base salary, or does it include your overtime and stuff?
So our pension when it was figured by the former, I believe, town manager at the time, and he figured it off our just base without our 212. After 212, we get overtime. I think he figured it on our straight time. Typically, your first-class firefighter, first-class police officer, the pension base is the salary base. And those are two separate things here. If we ask for a salary increase, that'd be a significant more cost, I think, to the town than the actual pension increase. The pension base, they're only paying 17.5% of that. It goes into our pension. It's vested in the down in state. They actually manage it. They look at portfolios and stuff, and they just trade, and that's how the pension is managed. So I don't know if that kind of answers your question, or?
So, I mean, the first chapter of all of this, of what defines the salary of a first-class patrolman and/or first-class firefighter, strictly within the law removes any overtime or compensatory time off. So in order to even look at this per state code, that would have to be broken down, or your salaries would have to be reworked in order to meet the law here, because you can't include any overtime costs into that salary. So I think that's probably where the first number came from, because it's the first paragraph of it. It cannot, for police, it cannot include firearms, automobiles, education, overtime, compensatory time off of that. It's only base salary and/or may include longevity based on the municipalities after 20 years. So if you're saying that your base salary now includes overtime, it's
Our mandatory overtime, not overtime that I pick up a shift. Anything after 212 is
Right,
overtime.
but that can't be figured into, based on, it says overtime at all. It can't be based.
That's a
in-
federal law, the 212.
No, I understand that, but it cannot be based under your, according to the first-class patrolman's salary or first-class firefighter, overtime cannot be figured into what is your pensionable salary.
And I do see that, as I'm going to say, per state, all other entities in the state, fire departments have that built into it. So I handed it to you, I sent it to you, I understand where you're coming from, sir.
So in my, I mean, right now, we're looking at two different things, and I don't think it's been explained enough, nor do I think it's the purview of this board as far as wages and benefits go. My personal opinion thinks that's a town council matter, but there's not enough information for me to determine, especially when you've said on record that it includes overtime, and the law says it can't include overtime.
The overtime I'm saying is a federal standard where we.
No, I
work-
understand where overtime comes from.
Okay.
But I'm saying the actual definition of the salary of a first-class firefighter shall not include overtime.
I mean, basically, if we hire new firefighters and their base pay that they're hired at is X amount of dollars, they can work all the overtime they can get, but their pension would be based on that base salary, and so would their share of any contributions they give. It would not include the overtime they make.
I do understand it. I'm thinking, I think we have a disconnect on what the overtime is. When we say overtime, per the law, it's any extra shifts. I have to work that amount of hours. So the $68,000 we roughly get is our just normal schedule. I'm not picking up any extra shifts, not working any overtime. Overtime would be an additional shift I would pick up. That's what I believe the law is talking about.
Well, that's kind of like a disagreement on what overtime is then, I guess, basically.
I get,
Anything you work over the 212 hours, your base salary is figured at, say you make $22 an hour.
Yes, sir?
Okay, you work 24 hours a day, times basically 122 days in a year. So you take that amount and divide it into what your base pay is, and that's how much you make an hour. Now, or if you take that times that, and that's what you make an hour. And that's how, anything over that can't be figured in by law.
Okay. I will,
and I understand that with the firefighter schedule and stuff, you've also got the FLSA time and other things in there, but it would have to be kind of broken down as to what counts for what, but.
are you speaking of like Kelly days or anything? Oh, no, FSLA, yeah. So I understand, maybe it's a different view that I have, and maybe we need to get legal counsel involved on our side and your side as well. But my request to you guys was just a favorable recommendation. I do understand that you guys don't have the purvey to spend money for that. I was just looking for a favorable support, but I do understand your trepidations.
Right, my only advice from listening to this is there needs to be a little bit more homework.
Okay.
As far as breaking down numbers and stuff in order to make it crystal clear as to what you are looking for based on what.
Yeah, so again, like I said, we were just trying to get parity with our police department on
No, and I
something.
fully understand what you're asking for. I'm just thinking that based on how the code reads versus what you're saying the salary includes, I think we need to get a little more clarification on what's all involved.
Yeah, I think I'll reach out to some of our attorneys to look at the code, and maybe we could get started there first. I think that's where our major hangup is between.
I mean, agreeing with you is not necessarily a problem as much as we have to know what we're agreeing to.
Understood.
You know, and again, the best as we know, if you get hired at X amount of dollars a year, that's your base pay. Anything you work above and beyond that, it doesn't count towards your pension. You know, same with if you had your days off and stuff, that's not taken away either. This is what you're paid.
So when we do take days off, it is taken away, though. So,
Well, yeah, so, again, there seems to just be a little conflict on, I don't know, what's stated and what's being done.
understood. Okay, well, thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Chief Flores.
Just to update you guys on the new hire process for us, we had 45 people that took the written test. Out of those 45, 3 failed. Passing score was 70, so there was 3 that didn't pass 70 or get a score of 70 or above. So that left us with 42 that we scheduled interviews with. And those are going to be panel interviews, which are scheduled for October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, which is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's going to be a panel interview. It's like 7 groups of 6. which will be held probably, it's gonna be at our station. So that, again, it's October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And once we get done with that, we'll compile the list and present it to the safety board. So it'll be done at that time. So I know a couple of you expressed interest in sitting in, so I wanted to make sure you know those days. Thursday and Friday, looks like 5:30 is the start time, and then Saturday, 8 a.m. is the start time for that Saturday. So, just wanted to update you with that.
You're doing that in here, chief?
At the police station, yeah.
So you're gonna have, I'm sorry, you said 7 groups of 6?
Correct,
So you're gonna oral interview 6 people at one time?
correct, like a panel interview.
Do they all gotta answer the same question?
Mhm. Each person gets a question first. So there'll be a series of 6 questions, and then each person will get to answer first on each question, and then it'll move
Right.
down the line.
Right, so, okay. I just have a problem with it, because I'm number 6 sitting in the chair, and by the time the first 5 guys get done, all I gotta do is go what he said, or what they said.
Well, I
mean,
actually
it's-
been through a couple of those. It actually works pretty good, believe it or not.
It's
I've
pretty
never seen it,
common.
but.
It is, it's a common
You,
process.
you get the chance to be first and last in all the questions, the
Right.
way it works out, so, and somewhere in the middle.
Well, I'll be there to watch it too, so I'm just,
Okay, no problem.
okay.
Next is, I'm requesting, Acting Corporal Zuzich to be, promoted to full-time corporal. I presented you guys some information back on September 1st, an email requesting that, we promote Acting Corporal Zuzich to corporal tonight, with some information on it. So, he's currently on our promotion list, and as of February 6th of 2020, Acting Corporal Zuzich, that's when he started as acting corporal. He stepped up and volunteered to take on the duties of corporal without any of the benefits and has done an impeccable job. On top of being a shift supervisor with all the extra duties and not getting any compensation for it, he runs all our security details. He's an evidence tech in charge of our evidence room, is in charge of all our grants for the department. So recently, we just did a school bus grant, where we had several officers out enforcing traffic laws. So he was in charge of that and got the grant for us. And he does all the seatbelt grants, the DUI grants. So he's done an outstanding job. And just within the last month or so, he just successfully completed a 3-day first-line supervision training course that was held at the Northwest Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. And prior to coming to St. John, he did, how many years were you in Maryville? He was on Maryville PD for 6 years, was a corporal there, was a supervisor there. And everybody I talked to, I know a lot of officers in Maryville, they said he was outstanding there as well, too. So, he's a great leader, does a great job, does great work. I mean, everybody respects him on the department. Very level-headed, and I mean, there could be a plane crash going, and he's just monotone. Everybody knows that. Just keeps calm, keeps his head straight. He's a good guy. So, I'm requesting and asking that the safety board promote acting corporals usage to corporal.
I have a motion to promote acting corporal Zuzich to corporal.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. DeYoung. I have a second.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Moran. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, no one opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Joe.
Take a picture real quick with your crew? Yeah, come on up real quick. Take a real quick picture.
We get paid by the hour, chief.
Mascot or mascot sweat? Ready? All right, I can't see you, Mr.
Okay.
Jeff. Roll them up and down.
Congratulations. All right, Luke, we want a speech. Speech.
Beach?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Speech.
I don't have much, but I just want to thank all you guys for coming out tonight. That means a lot to me. You know, I probably haven't shown up for other guys' stuff, but, you know, I'm always working or doing family stuff, so I really appreciate you guys coming out. It means a lot to me. My family couldn't be here because I got 5 kids and they all play sports and do after-school stuff, so me and my wife and parents are always running around doing stuff, so thank you very much, and glad Chief Flores had this opportunity to do this for me, so thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well
Thank you.
deserved. All right, the last thing I have is, there was a letter that I was received from Detective Wartzman, our detective, in regards to Officer Schreiber, who retired back in 2018. Typically, when officers retire, we give them their badge and their service weapon, and he apparently didn't get his. So Detective Wartzman had presented this letter, which I sent to you guys. I don't know if you have a copy of it or had a chance to review it. So this went to the council, and the council referred it to the safety board. I guess looking for a favorable recommendation, because it's got to go back to the council, because they're the ones that have the authority to give property away. So I'm guessing that's why they sent it back to you, looking for a recommendation, yay or nay. So, so it's, again, it's something we've done in the past. You know, he did, 19 years in law enforcement. He was with us for 12, did a great job. So I told, when Officer or Detective Wartzman presented this letter to me, I told him I'd forward it and see if we can possibly do that for Officer Schreiber, so.
I have a recommendation to the town council to give retired Officer Schreiber his service weapon.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Moran, second. I'll second it. By Mr. Paradisio, all in favor? Aye. No one opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's all I have.
Any public comment? Motion to adjourn. Mr. Young made a motion, second.
Yes.
All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.